Good afternoon, my friends, once again. Or should I say good evening because it's almost evening. And today I'm going to talk about a very important topic that concerns my students, that concerns the other people. So the day went by peacefully in the sense that everything went smoothly. So I've spent the day attending meetings, receiving people, different kinds of people with different concerns, varying concerns, different requests, and I've also spent my time reading letters, signing up forms for approval, and evaluating requests. So it came to my mind that probably it's better that I share this with you so that you will learn how to write effective letters, especially those letters that contain requests for reconsideration. And I receive a lot of letters here, and some of them are requesting for reconsideration because they failed to meet the deadline, or probably they failed to submit something on the right time. Okay, and usually when I read letters, I have with me a highlighter. It is a pink highlighter. So there's nothing political about that pink. It just so happened that my marker here are there. I have here in my desk. Several kinds of marker. Like for this one, for example, um, I have I have orange. Then I have blue, and I also have pink. And I always use, I am fond of using the pink, not because there's a political meaning to it. I always use the pink because it is more noticeable, easily noticeable. So when I read your letters, I always use this highlighter. And first of all, I highlight the nature of the request. What is the request? So I would underscore, I would highlight the request. Then another highlight would be for the justification given for the requests. And sometimes I based my decision on your justification because I always believe that we have to follow rules and regulations. But I also believe that there's always an exception to the rule. There are times when there are exceptions because rules are not perfect. There maybe rules are perfect, but situations are also not perfect, not so perfect. That's why you have to give some allowance to it. That's why sometimes I consider also these kinds of letter. But the kind of decision that I will arrive at will depend on the nature or how effective or how strong is your justification. And I noticed that a lot of students are requesting for reconsideration using the wrong reasons. So these are the kind of reasons that will not buy anything. So instead of getting your a favorable response to your request is turned down or returned to you for revision. Okay, I'll give you one example. One example that are usually given by students when requesting reconsideration. They will say it's because of the pandemic. My friends, we have been 2 years in the pandemic and moving to the third. And with this new normal, I would assume that within 2 years, we have already adjusted our schedules, we have already adjusted our activities and movements, and we can already satisfactorily adjust our work. So therefore, using the pandemic as an excuse for your failure to do your duty or to meet your deadline is a flimsy and a very weak justification. It will not buy anything. You will not be able to convince me if you will use the pandemic as your excuse. Because my response is, we are already 2 years in the pandemic, and I'm sure you have already adjusted. You should have adjusted yourself. Okay. Another justification that I often read is also, they would say, I am busy at work. I am busy with my work. That's why I fail to do these things. I fail to meet this kind of thing. Now, my friends, that is a poor excuse. That is a lame excuse. Why? Because everyone in this world is busy. All of us are busy. I am busy. You are busy. My secretaries here are busy. My colleagues are busy. Everyone is busy. But almost majority are able to meet the deadline. So why were you not able to meet the deadline when all of us are also busy? And not only does it not only does not only does that this kind of justification indicates incompetence or a lack of foresight and effort, it also indicates that you don't prioritize your studies. You do not give priority to your study, because if you give priority to your study, you will include your studies among the list of the things that you have to do. So therefore, asking for a consideration because you failed to do your duty, or you fail to submit this kind of thing because you are busy, that is a poor excuse. It only shows that you are not giving importance to your study, and that gives a negative impression on you. It's a minus factor. It is not a plus factor. So instead of getting a favorable response for your request, then most probably your request is turned down, and or perhaps it is returned to you for revision. Maybe to think of other better reasons for failing to meet the deadline. And I think it's better that we become honest and we become forthright in admitting that we failed to do it just because we really failed to do it, rather than giving different kinds of reasons that does not give justification to your action. Remember, my friends, that letter writing is an art because it conveys a message, and the letter itself represents the sender, the writer of the letter. It indicates the character of the letter. That's why I even tell my students to make your handwriting neat, and to make the paper of your letter also neat and clean. Because don't give me a letter that is crumpled or dirty or poor quality paper, because it indicates the kind of personality that you have and the kind of importance you give to the receiver and to the importance of your message. And we also have to watch our grammar. There are many tools today, online tools, that will help us correct our grammars. And also, let's try to be convincing in the way we write, and we should think of better reasons that will justify our actions. Sometimes we do things hurriedly, but sometimes it's better that sometimes we think of what we do first before we embark on something. It's better to do it slowly than do it fast and then commit the mistake. So take note also that our emotions are also reflected in our letters. Let us be careful with our emotions. That's why maybe after writing a letter, maybe you should ask your colleagues or your friend to read your letter. Ask them how they feel about the message of the letter. Because if you are an emotional person, naturally it will reflect on the tone of your letter. That's why you have to let your friends check it. Because naniniwala ako sa kasabihan na they say, doctor, heal yourself, but the doctor cannot heal herself or himself. Totoo yan. Kahit doktor ka, hindi mo kayang pagalingin ang sarili mo. Kailangan mo pa rin ng ibang doktor. So in the same way, in that analogy, I would say that when we write something, we might have the impression that we have done it right, but I think it will be good if somebody will review your letter and they will be able to check the kind of emotion and the effectiveness of your message. So, my dear friends, I hope that with this 10-minute sharing, I was able to share with you some of my thoughts, and I hope that this will help you next time when you write letters. Learn to write effective letters. Letters that will merit favorable response and favorable action. So thank you, my friends. Good evening again, and Let's keep safe and be careful in everything that we do. Goodbye.